Imagine you've done everything right. You saved the six-figure down payment. You have the good job. You have the 750 credit score. You walk into a bank in 2026, and the officer looks at your $86,000 salary, the national median, and tells you that you are exactly $25,000 short, not for a mansion, not for a penthouse, for a starter home. But as you're walking out, a notification hits the bank system. A 3-bedroom ranch down the street was just sold. No inspection, no mortgage contingency, 100% cash. It took the bank 48 hours to review your pay stubs. It took the buyer 4 milliseconds to execute the wire transfer. The buyer wasn't a family. It was a multi-billion-dollar algorithm headquartered in a glass tower 3 states away. We've been told the housing crisis is a glitch, a temporary byproduct of high interest rates, a lack of lumber, or a post-pandemic hangover. That is a lie. By 2026, it has become clear. The rent trap isn't a bug in the system. It is the system. We are witnessing the deliberate deconstruction of the ownership society in favor of a permanent, high-yield rentership model. The goal isn't to house you. The goal is to subscribe you to shelter for the rest of your natural life. Part 1, The Ghost of 1950. To understand why you can't buy a home today, you have to understand that your grandparents didn't buy theirs through grit alone. They bought them through massive state intervention. Between 1940 and 1960, U.S. home ownership jumped from 44% to 62%. This wasn't a free market miracle. It was the GI Bill and federal mortgage insurance socializing credit. In Canada, the CMHC was building the middle class by making single-family homes 60% of all new construction. The government viewed housing as infrastructure for citizenship. But in the late 60s, the gears shifted. We stopped subsidizing construction and started subsidizing debt. We moved from building homes for citizens to units for markets. Then came the 1980s, the era of Thatcherism. Margaret Thatcher's Right to Buy in the UK sold off 2 million public homes to individuals. It felt like a win for the little guy, a democratization of assets. But look at the data in 2026. 40% of those originally public homes are now owned by private landlords. It was a massive transfer of public wealth into private rent extraction engines. We traded long-term social stability for a one-time capital injection. We dismantled the public safety net to build a private ladder, and then we pulled the ladder up. Part 2, The 6% Gatekeeper and Institutional Arbitrage. Welcome to the new normal. The era of free money is dead. In 2026, mortgage rates have settled in the 6% range. For the 70% of current homeowners locked into 3% rates, moving is now a punitive financial trade. To sell their home and buy another is to voluntarily double their interest payments, so they stay put. This has paralyzed the resale market. The natural churn, where a family sells a starter home to buy a bigger one, has stopped, and in this paralysis, the predators thrive. Enter institutional arbitrage. By mid-2025, investors captured a staggering 33% of all single-family home purchases. But it's not just the Blackstones of the world. The real rent trap is fueled by the professional mom and pop. These aren't sweet couples looking for a retirement nest egg. These are LLCs owning 10 or fewer properties, using cash leverage to bypass the high interest rates that sideline you. They aren't buying luxury condos. They are hunting for starter homes. In 2025, investors paid an average of $455,000 per property, well below the national median. They are targeting the exact inventory first-time buyers need to escape the rental market. They outbid you for the bottom rung of the ladder, then rent that same ladder back to you at a premium. And when the public got angry, the investors pivoted. They started build-to-rent, BTR communities, entire suburbs of 90,000 homes born as financial assets, never intended to be sold to a human being. They aren't adding to the housing supply. They are colonizing the land for Wall Street. Part 3, The Math They're Hiding. Economists love to tell you that renting can be better if you invest the difference. In 2026, that math is a fantasy. Let's look at the wealth gap multiplier. This is the real net worth formula. It accounts for the one thing renters can't beat: inflation-protected leverage. A homeowner's mortgage is a fixed cost. It is frozen in time. As inflation rises over 30 years, the real value of their debt shrinks, while the value of their asset grows. Their biggest monthly expense stays the same while their wages theoretically rise. For the renter, inflation is a double-edged sword. It eats their savings and drives up their rent. Every year, your landlord adjusts your subscription fee to match the market. You are running on a treadmill that speeds up every January 1st. Over 30 years, a homeowner in this environment ends up with a real net worth of nearly $500,000 in today's dollars purely from housing wealth. The renter, even if they invest perfectly, they are fighting an escalating rent cost that grows 3 to 5% every year. Your rent check is 100% interest. You are paying off a mortgage, just not your own. But here's the kicker. The homeowner gets a $250,000 capital gains tax exclusion when they sell. The renter gets nothing. The government is essentially handing the owner class a $30 billion annual subsidy to stay ahead. Part 4, follow the money, the silent partners. Why don't we fix this? Because the system is addicted to your rent check. The rent trap has silent partners who need you to stay a tenant. First, the banks. The entire economy is now underpinned by consistent rent payments. Your rent is the collateral for complex financial instruments traded in London and New York. If housing prices crash to affordable levels, bank balance sheets implode. They need prices high to keep the system solvent. Second, local governments. Property taxes are the lifeblood of cities, and rental properties, especially high-density ones, are tax gold mines. They don't get homestead exemptions. You, the renter, are implicitly paying for the schools, the roads, and the police, but you get zero equity in the community you're funding. You are a citizen with taxation, but without ownership representation. This is the assetization of shelter. We've turned a human right into a liquid tradable security. When a REIT, real estate investment trust, manages a building, their fiduciary duty isn't to the tenant's comfort, it's to the shareholder's yield. If leaving a unit vacant helps maintain high market comps, they'll leave it empty. It's a decoupling of price from local reality. Your apartment is no longer a place to live. It is a line item in a pension fund in Norway. The verdict, the 2035 retirement catastrophe. This isn't just about young people not being able to paint their walls. This is a looming social collapse. By 2035, Social Security will only pay 75% of benefits. For 80 years, home equity was the ultimate buffer for the elderly. It was the piggy bank you broke open when you got sick or too old to work. In 2026, 60% of retirees are facing a future with zero equity. We are creating a mortality gap. In 2026, the bottom quintile of wealth, mostly lifelong renters, dies 9 years earlier than the owner class. The stress of housing instability, the lack of community roots, and the financial precariousness takes a physical toll. This isn't just a housing crisis, it's a biological one. The American dream hasn't disappeared. It's been securitized, bundled into an offshore portfolio, and rented back to you with a 5% annual escalator. The architecture of exclusion is complete. Unless we move housing back from a financial asset to a social right, owning will become a hereditary privilege, and renting will be the permanent, terminal condition of the majority. The question isn't whether you can afford to buy. The question is, can society afford for you not to?